On a sweltering August afternoon in Muskogee, Oklahoma, the emergency room staff at St. Francis Hospital received a patient they could never have prepared for. An ambulance pulled up, its back doors swinging open to reveal a child. A girl who looked no older than 10 or 11, doubled over in the grips of labor. Nurses gasped, eyes darting at one another, unsure if what they were seeing could possibly be real. The girl's body was small, fragile, petite, as the district attorney would later describe. She looked like she should be in elementary school, not in a delivery room. Yet here she was, full term, her belly taut with the weight of a child about to enter the world. As the staff rushed to stabilize her, a newborn's cries soon pierced the air. A child had given birth to a child. The questions began almost immediately. Who was the father? Where had this been happening? How had no one, no teacher, no doctor, no neighbor, stepped in? Those questions would unravel into one of the most disturbing cases Oklahoma had seen in years. The house was an unassuming structure on a quiet Muskogee street, about an hour from Tulsa. From the outside, it looked tired, paint peeled from the siding. The lawn was patchy, littered with the kind of clutter that comes from years of neglect. Neighbors whispered that something about the home always felt off. There were too many children, 6 in total, crammed inside with their parents, step-parents, and even pets. Dogs and cats roamed the property. Windows were often dark. Most troubling, the home hadn't had running water in 2, maybe 3 years. Hey, it would be nice to have you with us on this journey. Please kindly click on the subscribe button now to join us on Crime Whispers. Turn on your notifications and leave us a like. To outsiders, it looked like poverty. But inside, something darker was happening. The girl, just 11 years old, had been pulled from school. She hadn't seen a doctor in more than a year. She was kept largely out of sight, hidden from the systems designed to protect children like her. And as the summer of 2023 arrived, her body carried a secret no one could ignore any longer. On August 16th, the labor pains began. Inside the house, chaos brewed. The girl's mother, Sherry Walker, watched her daughter's agony with a mix of panic and calculation. Dustin Walker, the 34-year-old stepfather, hovered uneasily. Sherry's mother, the girl's grandmother, Michelle Justice, was also present, watching events unfold with a silence that would later become damning. The girl screamed, her small frame racked with pain. There was no doctor, no midwife, no clean sheets or sterile equipment. Just a cramped, dirty house with no running water. Michelle Justice, later accused of 6 counts of child neglect, would later claim she didn't realize what was happening, that she thought it was something else, something less horrific. But prosecutors allege she knew, witnessed, and said nothing. When the baby finally arrived, there was no celebration. Just fear. The secret was out. The Walkers rushed to construct a lie. Dustin and Sherry insisted to doctors that they had been shocked to discover the pregnancy. They claimed they had no idea their daughter was carrying a child. But investigators would quickly determine the truth. At the hospital, detectives met the family. The Walkers repeated their story. They had been blindsided. The grandmother chimed in, blaming the pregnancy on a neighborhood boy, a 12-year-old. To experienced investigators, the lies rang hollow. The district attorney, Matt Ballard, put it plainly, for a child that petite to be full term, and for nobody to notice, it just doesn't add up. The girl, trembling and traumatized, was too young to explain herself. The baby, a fragile new life, carried the answer in its DNA. A test confirmed what everyone feared. The newborn's biological father was Dustin Walker, the stepfather. With that revelation, the case shifted from suspicion to horror. Dustin Walker, 34, was charged with sexual abuse of a child under 12, charges that could put him away for life. Sherry Walker, 33, was charged with enabling sexual abuse. Prosecutors argued that she either knew or should have known what was happening under her own roof. Michelle Justice, the grandmother, was charged with 6 counts of child neglect. She had not only witnessed the birth, investigators said, but had also failed to report or intervene in the squalid conditions that endangered all 6 children in the home. Each adult, in their own way, had failed the victim. The DA was blunt. If the allegations in this story are true, it is so hard to comprehend the amount of people who failed a young girl. Dustin Walker was not new to the criminal justice system. In 2020, He had been charged with firing a gun inside his home. That case ended in a fine, though records show it eventually went to collections. In 2023, he was charged with domestic assault and battery in the presence of a minor, a case that was dismissed. Sherry, by contrast, had no known criminal record, but prosecutors pointed to her silence, her complicity, her role in keeping her daughter away from school and doctors. Michelle Justice's neglect charge added another layer. She had lived near the house, she had access, she had opportunity, yet she chose, according to prosecutors, to look away. The red flags had been there all along. Guns, domestic violence, poverty, isolation. But no intervention came until it was far too late. The courtroom in Muskogee was tense. Reporters filled the benches. Locals whispered in disbelief. The prosecution laid out its case with unflinching clarity. The girl was hidden. She was removed from school. She was denied medical care. And when the truth could no longer be hidden, her own family conspired to cover it up. What do you think about this tragic event? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section and tell us where you are watching from. Your engagement helps us grow this channel. The DNA evidence was the nail in the coffin. No elaborate defense could explain away the science. Sherry's lawyers argued she was manipulated by Dustin, a victim of his control. Michelle's attorneys claimed she didn't understand the severity of what she had seen. Dustin's defense team remained largely silent, boxed in by the incontrovertible fact of paternity. The DA summed it up for the jury. These adults had every chance to protect this child. Instead, they chose to protect themselves. 6 children lived in that house. 6 lives disrupted by the crimes of the adults who were supposed to care for them. Social workers arrived to remove them, placing them in foster care. Each child was interviewed by specialists trained to speak gently, to coax out truths hidden beneath fear. The interviews were grueling. Children spoke of life without running water, of being hungry, of secrets they didn't understand. The 11-year-old victim, now a mother herself, faced a future few could fathom. At her age, she should have been learning fractions and riding bikes, not recovering from childbirth. Trauma specialists spoke openly. The road ahead would be long, perhaps lifelong. Muskogee is a small city with a small town feel. People know their neighbors. Churches fill on Sundays. High school football games are community events. The news spread like wildfire. An 11-year-old girl impregnated by her stepfather, hidden by her mother and grandmother. Neighbors who had once waved at the walkers now felt sickened. "We didn't know," one said. "None of us knew." But prosecutors and detectives asked, should they have known? Could more have been done? Why had no one intervened when the family went years without running water? When the children were pulled from school? When domestic disturbances brought police to the home? The case forced uncomfortable questions about responsibility, not just within a family, but within a community. Retired homicide detective Dave Walker, interviewed by Law and Crime, put it bluntly, "It's sickening, actually, for us in law enforcement to even think that that happens." He noted that cases like this are rare, but not unheard of. For every one that comes to light, there are others that never reach police. Children who endure abuse silently, growing into adults burdened with invisible trauma. Detectives spoke about the challenge of interrogating suspects like Dustin and Sherry, balancing the professional need to build a case with the personal fury of sitting across from people accused of unthinkable crimes. One detective said, "Personally, I'm better than they are. I can't let what they did affect what I have to do. I have to build the case. Later, when I'm alone, I can cry." It was a window into the emotional toll such cases take on those who investigate them. As of late 2023, Dustin and Sherry Walker were being held on $100,000 bonds. Michelle Justice's bond remained unclear. The DA indicated both parents could spend the rest of their lives in prison if convicted. For the 11-year-old, the path forward remained uncertain. She was placed under state care, shielded from the public eye. Experts said she would need intensive counseling, medical care, and long-term support. The baby, too, was placed into protective custody. Social services reported that foster families had already expressed interest in caring for the child. The house on that Muskogee street stood empty, a symbol of secrets, silence, and the catastrophic failure of those entrusted with protecting the vulnerable. This story is not just about one family. It is about the ways silence enables abuse. For more than a year, no one spoke up. Not Sherry, not Michelle, not Dustin's neighbors. Institutions that could have intervened, schools, doctors, child protective services, never did, because the girl was kept hidden. By the time the truth came out, it was too late. A child had been forced into motherhood. The DA's words linger. For her to be full term and for nobody to notice, it just doesn't add up. In Muskogee, people still drive past that street, past that house. Some shake their heads, others refuse to look. But for those who know the story, it is a reminder of a chilling truth. Monsters don't always live in the shadows. Sometimes they live in plain sight. Sometimes they live at home. Thanks for watching Crime Whispers. If this story gripped you, like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more disturbing true crime stories that lurk in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.